extending a hand to her. "Well, that is very nice of you, Mrs. Taylor. And by the way, I would like to thank you for what you said about me last night. You were real good, and you look great, too. You know, you are very photogenic on television." Aunt Bee blushed deeply, touched by the compliment. "Really? Oh, well, thank you very much. Well, anyway, my bus will be leaving shortly," Aunt Bee continued, adjusting her gloves. "And I wanted to say it has been a pleasure to meet you, and I hope we will meet again sometime," Carter replied sincerely. "Likewise," Aunt Bee smiled. She looked around the small administrative office, taking in the filing cabinets, the typewriters, and the general military decor. "Oh, so this is where you do your work, is it?" "Yeah, this is where the brain work is done. Boyle—" Carter joked, patting his corporal on the shoulder. "Right, Sergeant," Boyle agreed. Aunt Bee's eyes suddenly locked onto the large window behind Carter's desk. She narrowed her eyes slightly, stepping closer to inspect the glass. "Oh, when's the last time those windows were cleaned?" Carter blinked, entirely unprepared for the sudden shift in topic. "Why, what is the matter with them?" "Well, they look awfully grimy," Aunt Bee stated with absolute domestic authority. She checked her watch. "You know, I got an hour and a half before my bus leaves." Gomer instantly recognized the tone. He stepped forward enthusiastically. "Aunt Bee, do you want me to get you some vinegar? Why do not you go with me?" Aunt Bee suggested happily, already looking for a bucket. Carter's old instincts flared up. Vinegar? Why would anybody want? Gomer turned to Carter with an enormous, proud grin. "Boy, if you want to see windows shine, you just let Aunt Bee show you what she can do with vinegar." "Now, wait a minute, Carter stammered, holding up his hands, the regulations flashing through his mind. According to regulations, no civilian is supposed to. Aunt Bee ignored him entirely, picking up a spare rag from the corner. "You know, I do not understand why the Marines will not pay a few extra dollars and have a woman come in once or twice a week. Run along." Gomer. Carter watched in sheer, helpless defeat as a sweet, unstoppable force of nature that was Mrs. Taylor began to take over his office. "Come in here and work half a day here." Aunt Bee continued chatting as Gomer happily ran off to find the vinegar. "And the next day we will be completely finished." Sergeant Carter slowly sat back down in his chair, crossed his arms, and finally allowed himself to smile at the absolute, wonderful absurdity of it all. The golden California sun beat down with relentless but cheerful warmth across the sprawling asphalt and manicured green spaces of Camp Henderson. It was a peaceful Sunday afternoon, a rare moment of tranquility in a place usually echoing with the rhythmic thud of marching boots and the sharp, booming commands of drill instructors. Most of the men of Company B were out on weekend passes, enjoying the vibrant sights of the nearby cities, or finding quiet respite in local diners. The base felt remarkably still, save for the gentle rustle of the coastal breeze weaving through the eucalyptus trees. Inside the recreation room, the atmosphere was equally subdued. The familiar hum of the vending machines and the occasional crack of a billiard ball were the only sounds disturbing the quiet. It was here that word reached Private First Class Gomer-Pyle, a young man whose earnest, open face and unfailing optimism made him a beloved, if sometimes frustrating, figure in his platoon. A fellow Marine leaned to the doorway of the barracks where Gomer was meticulously folding a towel. "Hey, Pyle, you got a visitor over in the recreation room." Gomer blinked, his face lighting up with immediate, pure surprise. "A visitor? To see me?" "Yeah," the Marine replied, a small, teasing smile playing on his lips. "But do not get too excited. She is the motherly type." "The motherly type?" Gomer murmured to himself as the messenger departed. He scratched his head, a genuine puzzle forming in his mind. Who in the world could be visiting him all the way out here in California? He smoothed down his sharply pressed uniform, ensured his belt buckle caught the afternoon light just right, and made his way across the quadrangle. As Gomer stepped into the cool shade of the recreation room, his eyes adjusted to the softer light. Sitting patiently on a vinyl sofa, holding her purse neatly in her lap, was a figure that instantly transported Gomer across the country, back to the sweet, slow-paced streets of Mayberry, North Carolina. It was Aunt Bee. "Hey, May!" Gomer gasped, his voice breaking with sheer, unadulterated joy. "Gomer!" Aunt Bee cried out, her eyes widening as she stood up to get a proper look at him. "Well, I did something." Gomer beamed, awkwardly gesturing to his crisp uniform. Aunt Bee walked toward him, her hands fluttering in astonishment. "Gomer, for land's sakes, look at you. Why, I would not know you if I saw you on the street right now." It is true," Gomer chuckled, his southern drawl wrapping around the words like a warm blanket. "You are a different person," Aunt Bee continued, reaching out to gently touch the sleeve of his uniform. "When you left Mayberry, you were a frail, scrawny thing. But look at you now. Gomer-Pyle, you are actually handsome." Gomer felt a rush of heat climb up his neck, a bashful smile stretching across his face. "I am Gomer, am I not?" "Yes, you are," she said warmly. "Well, you look mighty good yourself," Gomer replied, his heart swelling with homesickness and affection. "This is just wonderful. Come on over here. Sit down. What in the world are you doing here?" Aunt Bee smoothed her skirt as she sat back down, a delighted sparkle in her eye. "Well, I am on my way to Fresno. You remember my little niece, Judy Mayo Lander?" "Uh-huh," Gomer nodded eagerly. "Well, she is getting married," Aunt Bee announced with a proud smile. "You do not say." "Yes, and a good catch, too." She leaned in slightly, lowering her voice as if sharing a delightful secret. "The young fellow is a butcher down at the supermarket. You know the kind of money they make. Of course. He is supposed to be a lovely person, too. Wasn't that nice?" Gomer said, completely invested in the pleasant domestic news from home. "Of course. At first I was not going to go," Aunt Bee admitted, adjusting her purse strap. "But Andy just insisted. He said I needed a vacation from my household chores." "Uh-huh. So I thought I would make a vacation, and I would come and see you, too." Gomer shook his head in absolute wonder. "Well, I am sure glad you did. This is just wonderful. But tell me, how is everybody in Mayberry? Andy and Opie and the whole gang?" "Just fine," Aunt Bee smiled, reaching into her purse. "And I've got a lot of pictures. Gomer, would you have a little time? I thought maybe we could go to town. We could have dinner, and then have a nice, long talk." A shadow of genuine regret crossed Gomer's bright face. The thought of a home-cooked style meal and a long conversation about Mayberry was the most wonderful thing he could imagine. But duty, as always, stood in the way. "Well, I sure would like to, Aunt Bee, but I am afraid I cannot. You see, all the fellows are on pass, and I got the barracks duty." Aunt Bee paused, her practical mind immediately finding a solution. "Well, maybe I could go with you. We can talk while you do your barracks duties." Gomer hesitated, running the rule book through his mind. "Well, I do not suppose there would be any harm in it. Today is Sunday, and there will not be anybody there." "Yeah, I guess you could," Gomer finally agreed, his smile returning. "Good, good," Aunt Bee said, standing up briskly. "Oh, Gomer, I just cannot get over how handsome you are." The walk to the barracks was filled with comfortable chatter. The vastness of military base, with its rigid geometry and identical wooden structures, was a far cry from the cozy, mismatched charm of Mayberry. As Gomer pushed open the heavy wooden door to the barracks, a shaft of afternoon sunlight illuminated the immaculately swept floor and the precise rows of bunk beds. Aunt Bee stepped inside, her eyes scanning the cavernous room with polite curiosity. "Well, so this is where you live, hmm?" "Yes, ma'am," Gomer said proudly, leading her down the central aisle. "And this is my bunk right here, and right next to it, my locker." Aunt Bee stopped and looked at the singular bed and the narrow metal locker. "Is that all the space you have? Gomer, I thought you would have a room of your own by now." "Gomer, let out a good-natured laugh. "Oh, no, ma'am, you got to be a lot higher up than me for that." Ampy frowned